What's up? What's up? Welcome back to the channel. So I remembered the point that I wanted to say, and it's good because we're just gonna do a whole video on it, and it's really good. It's about why why it's so much easier to focus on what you don't want, right? And especially talking in terms of vibration, like why it's easier to just vibrate with something that you know isn't a match to you, that you know you don't want to experience, but it's just so easy to just calibrate to it and keep drawing the same fucking thing to you, right? So the main thing is to realize that as we grow up, we're figuring out how to life, right? You see people talking, like you see even with babies and little kids, they're just like staring at you. And that's why, like, you know, you'll see them and so it's like, why is that kid just staring at me so much? They're just like seeing, like, how are you lifing? Like, what are you doing? You're making sounds with your mouth and you're moving in these exact ways. And if you really pay attention, like every single thing, like nobody can replicate you, right? There's your specific tone, the words that you choose, the way that you move the muscles in your face, everything about you is uniquely you. And it only makes sense for you to navigate life in that way and express in that way. People could like imitate, but they could only do that for a short period of time because it doesn't make sense to them to express in that way. So as you're growing up and you see adults like moving and gesturing, and you see them walking, you're like, oh, that's an option. Like right now I could just crawl, and then, you know, you start to figure out walking, and then you see that they like Joe Dispenza gives a very great example of this. He says that the reason there's like the terrible twos is because kids are mimicking you. They're not paying attention to what you're saying. So like as a kid goes from crawling to walking and they start like grabbing stuff, especially if you have like expensive stuff that is breakable, it's you're always like, no, no, no. And then the kid's just constantly seeing you do that, and it's just, again, watching you. And it's like, okay, like that's a thing to do for some reason. And then what happens as they get a little older and they're able to speak? What are some of the words that they can say very fluently? No. And it's like, all right, put your shoes on. No. Do this. No. And like, it's not really that they're being defiant. You showed them to life that way. Right? Well, I don't know if you have kids, but I'm saying, like, you know, you were shown to life that way, or they were shown to life that way. And it's the same exact thing with vibration. Right? You feel as you're growing up like, hey, I don't want to engage with these certain things because they just don't feel good to me. But then everybody else around you starts to convince you and pretty much tell you that you have to do these things because that's just how life is. And it doesn't matter how you feel, you have to do this thing. If you don't do this thing, you're going to feel worse. You're going to be in trouble. Which is going to be way worse than that, because now you're going to be punished. You're not going to be able to play with your toys or your games. So you start to notice that the choices start to narrow down, not so much from what you like and what you don't like, which is what came natural to you. It became what you don't like and what you really don't like. And now it's trying to calibrate as to like what sucks less, or what's more tolerable. And it's like, okay, I don't like being punished. I mean, I don't like doing chores, but I also really don't like being punished. I guess I'll do the chores. And it's like constantly ignoring yourself. And as you start to come across spirituality, right, and self-development, and really start to find out about vibration, find out about the fact that you do create your reality and you have the ability to tune to what you would like to experience. And you start to notice the habit that you have of that. And it's like, damn, like, why is this so hard to do? But it's just like an analogy that comes to mind for that is like, one, with the kid growing up. Two, it's like, you go to tie your shoes and you've only known how to tie it with like the bunny ears. And if somebody comes and shows you, it's like, why are you doing that? It's like, well, that's how I tie my shoes. And they show you a different way of how to tie your shoes that's more secure. So you get to see all that's been happening is you were just shown the habit of practicing amplifying what you don't like, amplifying the vibration of what's uncomfortable, giving that your attention. Because again, that's how you were shown to life. So a great way to start to flip this is just acknowledge what's taking place. And what's taking place is you, and most people, right? Most people downplay their wins, downplay what's going really good, right? It's like you get the thing that you've been wanting, or it's like, even if you get like a compliment, like, oh, that's a nice shirt, or it's like, oh, thank you. And it's just like, it's very like short-lived. It's very like downplayed. Oh, you know, like I got the job, and it's like, you know, it'll last a little bit. But when something bad happens or something uncomfortable happens, it's like the ability to go into such detail about it for so long and like get so descriptive and like keep talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. It's like somebody could cut you off on the highway, and like that's like a not even a 30-second thing. That's like a half a second thing. It's kind of like you're driving, and that's the whole experience. That was it. But then it's like, well, this mother ever this motherfucker cut me off, and how could you, and like flipping them off, and then you're annoyed about it, and then you start to drive, and then like maybe I mean, I know I've done this before, like this is before I was healed, before I got to the space of conscientious way of being. But yeah, I used to cut the person off. And then like, if I was really in the off mood, I had a cup holder full of pennies. And I would just be like, keep the change, you filthy animal. Just throw it out my window. Yeah, I was some type of way. So, but then, and you know, what else do you see people do? It's like they'll get home, and then like, or maybe you meet them and like you're meeting them at some place, like this guy cut me off, and and like they just like, they won't let it go, right? It's like, okay, like it was a 30-minute drive. That happened 10 minutes into your drive. You had 20 minutes to get here. So that means the whole time you just been vibrating at that frequency. And then you brought it into our hangout and you're still keeping it going. So like, cause you know, yeah, there's the law of attraction shows, so it amplifies it, but it's also a practice way of being. It's a practice way of channeling energy within you. It's a practice way of directing your attention. And it's good to acknowledge that, right? Same way the bunny ears was a practice way of tying your shoes, this is a practice way of directing your attention and energy. And it's good to know that, because all you need to do now is just flip it. Downplay the stuff the bad stuff. Downplay the stuff that you're not a fan of. Downplay the stuff that you don't enjoy feeling. Like, and that's something that I did as part of my journey in shifting from my penny throwing days. Now I don't keep any pennies in the car. But that was part of it. But what it is like anytime anything like that happened, I made it more of a game as to, and like a game / challenge as to like, how fast can I let this go? And then I would feel all this come up within me, because at that time I was so prideful. At that time, what mattered to me more than anything was respect, right? It was like, I don't care whether you like me or not, you're going to respect me. I demand respect everywhere I go. But it's like, one, that's a whole mirror for a whole bunch of stuff that I got to process. But two, it's like when anything happened that challenged that, it brought up all these amazing things, and it shifted, amazing things, all these intense things. It was amazingly intense. All these intense things, and it would shift me to that like immediate vibration that I kept practicing, of that feeling of disrespect, of that feeling that something was wrong, that uncomfortable vibration, that uncomfortable feeling, that uncomfortable frequency that I was so used to being in. And what I noticed is when something would happen, I would have to guide myself back from that state and just see, like, how can I let that go as quickly as possible? And not from a space of bypassing, but just from a space of not making that as important as it seemed. It's really not that important. Nothing that feels that way is that important. It's like a faucet, right? This is the way I like to explain it to people. It's like a faucet. You could think of something that feels good to you. You can even do it now. You could think of something that feels good to you and feel the sensation within your body, right? It could be a person, a place, a thing, a pet. And you can start to feel that. And, you know, there's an exercise I do with people to amplify that feeling. But like just in thinking about something and feeling that within your body, what the body is telling you is it doesn't matter what the topic is, right? Because I didn't say think of something specific. I said think about anything that feels good. And your body is saying that you're using that as your excuse to open your faucet, to open your channel, to tap into a higher vibration, right? To be open. And then anything that feels bad or uncomfortable, what your body is telling you in real time is it doesn't matter what the topic is, but you're using this as your excuse to now close your faucet or close your channel, right? And that's the thing that is really triggering us the most. That's the thing that's really bothering us the most, is we want to be open. We want to flow energy. We want to feel that lightness. So anything that feels dense, anything that feels heavy, anything that closes us off, and you can feel that constriction, that restriction happening like within like your solar plexus. You can even feel it in your heart at times, depending on the topic. And we think it's that specific thing, but it's more of the power that you're giving that thing over you to make you do that to yourself. You're the one that's doing it because you're giving, it's the definition you're giving that thing. That thing means nothing without you. Everything means nothing without you. Like somebody could cut you off, could just be them merging into the lane. Or it could just be that person's in a rush. It could be whatever. But just as in my case before, it could be a sign of disrespect, right? It could be like, oh, this asshole, or the inconsiderate, or you could define it in infinite amount of ways. The main thing is realizing, what do you want it to mean? Because how do you want your life to be? How do you want your life to feel? Right? The sensations within your body is kind of giving you, that's kind of like the trailer to the movie you're stepping into. How is the movie that you're creating going to feel? And if you're feeling that like, it's like, hey, you want to know that right now you're creating a movie that's gonna kind of suck because it's gonna be so uncomfortable. So just make it a game, right? That's how I made it for myself, because if it was too much of like a challenge, if it was too much of a thing that I needed to do, then whenever I didn't do it, it felt like I messed up, which would then what? Amplify that sensation, which would then what? Close me off even more from the flow of energy going through me of the life that I want to create. So if I made it a game, then it's like I'm just trying to beat my high score. So if somebody cut me off, and I'm doing good, I'm letting go, and I still feel like a little intensity and it's there, and then I let go, cool, high score. But if somebody cuts me off and it's just like, I react a little bit, and then I'm like, let me remember, calm down, calm down, calm down. I didn't beat my high score, but I'm on the right track. So it's okay. That's my current score. Let me see if I can outdo my score, right? Let me see like, okay, what's the most I can do from where I am now, right? So it's like playing Mario, you're trying to get to the whole level without dying. You fall through the pit. It's all good, right? You have 2 more lives. You have another life. It's all good. Now you know what to look out for. Now you know how to be a couple steps ahead of yourself, so you can be aware, hey, like, what was the thing that tipped you over? What was the thing that got you to really close up? What was the thing that really jolted you, that shifted you into that unconscious state where you went pretty much into autopilot and you just reacted? That's what happens when we react. We're not even there. It's just an unconscious pattern. It's just complete autopilot. And you just want to, like, if you do react, 1, bring yourself back, right? As smoothly and as quickly as you can, just caring about how you feel. But then just acknowledge and notice, like, what was it about that specifically that pushed me over the edge? Because it wasn't that whole specific, that wasn't just that experience. There was something specific that really stood out to you that like poked at something. And it's like, okay, like what was it? Because you're not going to get everybody around you to perform to your liking. People are going to like you, people are not going to like you. You're going to like some people, you're not going to like some people. But what you do have control over is your state of being. You do have the ability to direct how you want the energy to flow within you. So no matter what's happening around you, this is bliss. This is peace. This is ease. And what's going to happen is you're just going to start to navigate towards what you resonate. And in just playing this game of flipping what you're giving the most attention to, how long you're willing to engage with something, and just be curious also, just like, why wasn't I like talking up the things that are going good in my life? Why did I downplay that? Why was that like a normal thing? Why did I agree to do that? Because there's the law of agreement. Things can't happen without you agreeing to it. So why did you agree to downplay that? And because you understand now, like, why you agree to talk up the things that suck and what you don't want to experience. But why did it make sense to downplay the stuff that was going good? And as you get curious about that, you get to be a few steps ahead of yourself for that. And then just now, like, find ways. Oh my God, my foot is falling asleep. Oh my God. I like to like sit like with my leg tucked, but my foot is like, asleep. But yeah, you get to now find ways of like, what is there? And people talk about it like with gratitude, right? That's what people mean by like, express gratitude. But gratitude is a tricky word. I'm probably gonna do a whole other video on this, but gratitude is a whole tricky word because you know what it means, right? And it's like having deep appreciation. I personally like to use the word appreciation better than gratitude. I actually just started to use gratitude. The reason being is because I noticed, and with my clients and everybody else that I've shared this with, they notice the same thing. When you hear about gratitude growing up, You know what it means, but you don't receive it in that way. How many times have you heard you need to be grateful, or you should be grateful, or that you're ungrateful, right? Oftentimes when grateful is mentioned as you're growing up, it's always how you're not. At least that's what I heard a lot growing up, and so did a lot of people and clients that I work with. And if that's your experience hearing that growing up, a much cleaner vibrational word is appreciation. Not many people use appreciation that often in a way that feels bad, as much as gratitude or as much as grateful. There's occasionally unappreciated, right, or unappreciative. Those are like very few and far between. Most of the time it's ungrateful or you're not grateful. But appreciation, or I appreciate that, or appreciative, it feels like I can't even feel it now. And you could play with it, like as you're hearing it, how do you feel that within your body? Like it feels way more expansive, it feels way more open. And you get to just like now highlight, what can you really appreciate? How can you amplify that appreciation? How can you really look at every single thing that you have? And what I found that really turns up the volume of that vibration, that feel-good vibration, is think about the things that you have now, but from the eyes of the version of you that asked for it, the eyes of the version of you that wished for it. Because like now you've gotten so used to it, it's kind of like, yeah, I got it, it's cool. But that version of you that asked for it would be so hyped that you got that thing, 22, that you got that thing, and you will feel that rush of excitement throughout your body. And then what's your body telling you? Doesn't matter what the topic is, but you're using this as your excuse to fully open your channel, fully open your heart, fully like raise your vibration. And the best part is you're doing it now, which is going to impact and influence the movie that you're stepping into. And you could tell by this amazing trailer that you're feeling within you. So that was the thing that I mentioned 2 times in the last video about the procrastination vibration. And I stayed in flow in what I was talking about, but I didn't revisit back to this, which probably for the better, because this actually ended up being a whole video, which means that video would have gone from like 20-ish minutes to like 40. So it works out. It always does. With that being said, it was awesome dropping in. I'm about to go to the gym, so keep getting jacked, keep getting swole. And I'm wishing you an amazing day. Oh, like, subscribe, share with somebody that you would like to join the tribe, the community. Be sure to drop something in the comments, like what's a way that you're gonna really amplify appreciation? What's a way that you're gonna flippity flop towards putting more attention of how you want to feel, and quickly, almost like hot potato, letting go of what you don't want. And if it's nighttime, I'm wishing you an amazing night. Daytime, I'm wishing you an amazing day. And I will catch you later. Ah, my finger.